And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China!
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what?
China!
All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China!
Russian.
Russia!
Italian.
Italy!
German.
Germany!
Swedish.
Sweden!
Korean.
Korea!
Egyptian.
Egypt!
Nigerian.
Nigeria!
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing. Yes.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit. Like God's property, it's hard to market. So we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said
the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
You, water girl.
Although the forensic team have only an incomplete skeleton, using our virtual template, we can now rebuild the skull. Hilke and Fabian thought the skull was lost forever, so I'm dying to see how they'll react.
We've been looking for the skull for a long time. And we don't have the real thing, but we've got the next best thing, which is a very exact replica.
Cool. Super.
And this is where it should be.
May we touch it?
Yeah, of course.
It's
of course.
No, it's cool.
This is really cool, yeah.
Brilliant. Perfect.
It's really like looking in her face.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is quite another thing, to have the skull of her in your hands.
Yes.
This is a really enormous, big feeling. Wow.
Well, it was worth bringing in.
Driving them home.
Yeah.
Yes. Super.
The forensic team are convinced they've proved beyond doubt that these are the bones of Princess Arsinoe. But rebuilding the skull has unlocked an incredible secret about her ancestry.
But the CT scan has one more surprise for Alejandro. Shammai's ethnicity.
Well, they have just told me that Shammai had Nubian features, which means that their ruling family was probably Nubian, and that was unexpected.
Examining Shammai's anatomy closely, the thickness of his bones and the shape of his nasal cavity, the anthropologists think he was a black African, likely from neighboring Nubia. A huge revelation that challenges the prevailing image of the Egyptian ruling class.
We always thought the ancient Egyptian elites were Mediterranean type. We always thought the ancient Egyptian elites were Mediterranean type. We always thought the ancient Egyptian elites were Mediterranean type. We always thought the ancient Egyptian elites were Mediterranean type. And in this sense, Shema is representing the society of the frontier in which different ethnic groups were mixed. At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shema was Egyptian. At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shema was Egyptian. At the end, it doesn't.
Now, the problem for me, it's not about color. It's not about white and black. This is a very reductive way to talk about things. This is the way that Americans talk about it. I'm very sorry. Like, I come from Egypt. Egypt has a very diverse color palette. People can look like me or they can look deeper skin tone like Anwar Sadat, who comes from a Nubian origin. It's not about black and white. It's not about black and white. It's not about black and white.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shema was Egyptian. At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shema was Egyptian. At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shema was Egyptian.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Hopefully you guys can hear me clearly. If you guys can hear me clear, just type 1 if you guys can hear me. Hope my voice doesn't go out. It's my mic sound. I just want to get a quick mic check, then get a chance to adjust my sounds here. So if you guys can hear me clearly, let me just check it and make sure I'm good. Yes, I'm good. All right. All right. Want to say peace and blessings to everyone. I hope and pray all is well with you guys. And tonight, I just wanted to do a review on the Netflix series Cleopatra. And can you guys hear me? Let me adjust my mic. All right. All right. All right. So just wanted to do an assessment as far as just talk about Cleopatra, the movie. I want to bring you guys up to speed as well. For those that may not be familiar with the controversy surrounding the movie, and we want to give facts. I want to give you facts. I want to give you facts about who, far as in terms of Cleopatra's skin complexion, to show you not just her skin complexion, but also what the historians were saying about her in their description. I got some great sources I'm going to share with you tonight. So, how many of you guys seen the documentary? It's a 4-part documentary. I watched it. I'm gonna go back over and watch it again just to take some notes and really do some fact check. But tonight I'm not going to do any fact check, but just off of what I watched. And I will say for me, it was well put together. It was well put together. And I will say this, and I don't want to sound like I want to give you guys a heads up. I don't want to sound like this right here, but I'm going to say this. All right. I don't want to sound like this right here.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
All right. I know I'm probably going to sound like that a little bit, but that's not my intent. But regardless of the color, right, of Cleopatra in the movie, skin complexion, I'd rather say that, right? It was okay. It was better than the stuff I've seen in the past. It was way better than the Elizabeth Taylor and some of the other movies about Cleopatra. It was well put together. They had sources, family. Including some of these sites that are out here that was bashing the professor. They just showed the little clip of her saying how her mother told her, regardless of what the school may teach her about Cleopatra, that she was black. They took a little clip out there out of that, just that little clip, and tried to run with it to give the impression that something was wrong with her. But she is a very well educated woman. She is a professor, and all the women and all the people, not just the women, but the men that was inside this documentary are educators, right? And specialists in that field. They did a great job. I think it was a great, a well put together documentary. And I know some of you guys probably asked the same question, right? They were putting out all of these different videos out here, putting out. Literally putting out all these videos, calling, really bashing the movie, and the movie didn't even come out, as if they were trying to go off of facts of the movie, and they didn't even watch the movie. The movie wasn't out. It didn't get released until today. So how can they come up with an assessment? Which proves that the whole argument was Cleopatra being played by, a melanated woman, a Negro, someone that looks like you and I. And we're going to deal with that tonight. And I'm going to bring those of you guys that may not be familiar with the whole situation. I'm going to bring you guys up to speed by giving you some the backdrop on here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you some sources. And I'll drop the link inside the comment section if anyone wants to jump on. But let's stay on topic. And family, I want to say this, if you do the history of and the research on and the study on Cleopatra, you'll understand, the behaviors that you saw wasn't just isolated. When you study history, the Romans did not like her. They did not like her. They did not like her because of the power and authority that she had. They did not like her. Right. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and get into it. I don't want to just do a lot of, sound like I'm doing a rambling or anything like that. But I'm going to give you some information for many of you guys that may not be familiar with Cleopatra. And I want to say this again, regardless of, what is said about her behavior of marrying her own brother. Guess what? That was something that was common, not just with the Egyptian culture. Other cultures have done that when it comes to like dynasties and when it comes to royalty and trying to preserve the royal seed, right? Their royal blood. Yes, this is Carol. It aired. It's been available since earlier. I want to say earlier today, early part of this morning. So it's a 4-part. They released it, all 4 parts of it. So I watched it. So it was, and I'm going to put matter of fact, let me do it right now, and I'll keep this running through this presentation. Let me just put a survey up in here, and you guys can, if you watch the movie or the series, you can vote and just share your thoughts, share your votes rather. Let me go ahead and put this in here real quick. But again, for me, watching it was well put together. We got to give Jada Pickett Smith her props on that. She did a great job. Actually, the whole series that she's doing with women leaders, women queens. I mean, of course, women are queens, right? But the entire series that she's doing on Netflix is top notch. It's top notch. They invested a lot of money into this here. So I encourage you guys, don't get caught up on what you hear others say. Watch it yourself. Anyone that is telling you not to watch it, or anyone that's coming up with all kinds of craziness in terms of that's not what I want. All kinds of craziness of trying to say that Cleopatra wasn't a melanated woman, including the modern Egyptians that are over there right now. There's people doing videos saying, hey, I'm Egyptian. I live over in Egypt, and I can tell you that Cleopatra wasn't black. Come on, lose me with that. Lose me with that. Lose me with that. Now, all of a sudden, want to go there with the Egyptians not being dark melanated people. Oh, we come in all shades. No, Negroes come in all shades. Dark melanated people come in all shades. When you hear people say that they come in all shades, what they mean is all races, different race groups, racial groups that did not exist during that time. So let me put this in here. Let's see here. All right, I'm gonna. I didn't want a Q and A. Let me get that out of here. Let me stop that. Don't want a Q and A. I'll put a poll here. All right. And let me put this here for anyone and you guys, if you want to let's see here real quick. Then we'll get into it. Just going to post my Cash App for anyone that want to contribute. All right. To the work. Invest in work. All right. But let's go ahead and let me go ahead and bring this over here now. All right. Let's go ahead and get into it, family, because I have a lot to cover here. All right. Got a lot to cover. All right. We have a lot to go over tonight. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right. My review of Cleopatra, my assessment of the movie. I gave it to you ahead of time, but I'm going to tell you again, it was well put together. Contrary to what the haters are saying, it was well put together. It was well put together. All right. So I'm just showing you some images of some ancient Egyptians, pharaohs. You have here Amenhotep. You see he ruled from 1390 to 53 BCE. All right. So you see that he ruled for almost 40 years. Right. So, well, over 40 years. Well, let me look at, yeah. Anyway, so you see the image of him. You see the image of him. Let me show you another one. Queen Tai, you see her here. How come we don't hear anything about them? Of course, you have all kinds of things that are happening right now with them. And when I say them, those that are the modern people that are trying to whitewash and trying to paint over the images that are there, coming up with all kinds of excuses of why you see, for the most part, the theme of the nose being removed from many of the statues. They'll say, hey, well, another dynasty didn't like a previous dynasty, so they disfigured the nose and all that. That's a complete lie. That's made up. That's made up. All right. But anyway, so Queen Tai, you see her here, mother of Akhenaten, grandmother of Tut. Right here's another image of her. Look how she look. Look at the hair. Look at the hair. All right. Look at the hair. So let me bring you guys up to speed with what transpired here. All right. Let me start with the director here because I want to give shout outs and kudos to her for even standing her ground. Right. This is out of the calculated or the selective outrage that many have expressed on social media, running around with this mob mentality, this pitchfork and, fire and all this, got this lynch mob going on, trying to rally up the troops to go at and bash this documentary. The documentary was very well put together, very well put together. But anyway, this is her response to the controversy in the comments that was said about her. Let me go back here. Actually, let me do something real quick before I go on. Let me clear something here. I saw something that shouldn't happen. I may not be able to clear it up. If not, I'll just go through it. All right. Anyway, let's go and get into it. All right. So why is it doing this? All right. All right. While shooting, I became the target of a huge online hate campaign. Egyptians accused me of blackwashing and stealing. Right. She goes on to say their history. Some threatened to ruin my career, which I wanted to tell them was laughable. I was ruining it very well for myself. Thank you very much. No amount of reasoning or reminders that Arab invasions had not yet happened in Cleopatra's age. And we're going to talk about that real briefly. Why does she say the Arab invasion? Why does she say the Arab invasion had not yet happened in Cleopatra's age? Because when you start understanding the Ottoman Empire, when you start let me stop this right here. Let me fix this real quick, family, because I got some auto animations going on here that should not be, that should be clear, but for some reason it's not. It's bear with me one second. Let me fix this real quick. All right. Let me stop this slideshow real quick. All right, let me stop this real quick because I don't like what it's doing. It's messing me up here. So let me fix this present slide here. All right, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Bear with me one second, family. All right, let's try this now. Just making sure that there's no animations going on here because it's messing me up here. That's why you see the auto going on with the presentation. It keeps jumping on me, and that's because when I do my videos, some of my videos I use PowerPoints to help put certain things together. So let me clear that up, the timing. All right, that should do it. All right, let's try this again. All right, let me share this now. All right, let's try this again. Oh, come on now. Bear with me, family. Bear with me one second. Now, all of a sudden, I'm having problems with StreamYard. StreamYard is acting quirky now. All right, there we go. All right, here we go. My apologies. Here we go. Now, let me. All right, there we go. Let's go and get into it. My apologies with the issues that I'm having. All right, let's start this over again. All right, this is coming from an article, an interview with the director of the Netflix documentary, right? Cleopatra, right? Jada Pickett, was basically the overall, producer of it. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. This is what she said. This is how she clapped back. This is how she responded to the calculated or the selective outrage about the movie. It says here, while shooting, I became the target of a huge online hate campaign. Egyptians accused me of blackwashing and stealing their history. Some threatened to ruin my career, which I wanted to tell them was laughable. I was ruining it very well for myself. Thank you very much. No amount of reasoning or reminders that Arab invasions had not yet happened in Cleopatra's age, and we'll touch on that in a second, seemed to stem the tide of ridiculous comments. Amir in his bedroom in Cairo wrote to me to earnestly appeal that Cleopatra was Greek. Oh Lord, why would that be a good thing to you, Amir? You're Egyptian. Anything but the Negroes. That's basically what it's saying. They would rather say that or have, uh, Cleopatra be a Caucasian, right? Be white per se, than to look like you and I. That's what the whole uproar is all about. That's what it's all about. Before they even released the documentary today, they literally, pushed this whole narrative about basically accusing us of stealing their culture, calling us basically culture vultures. So she's saying here, Amir, why are you pumping your chest out, trying to prove that Cleopatra was Greek? In other words, when you see the word Greek or Macedonia, that is synonymous with white. When you hear African or Nubia, they use that synonymously with black. Still pushing the institution of race, which was created in the 17th century, 18th century, and they backdated, based upon racist agendas, to try to put certain stamps in certain groups over history here. All right. But anyway, so it says, oh Lord, why would that be a good thing to you, Amir? You're Egyptian. So was Cleopatra black? We don't know for sure, but we can be certain she wasn't white like Elizabeth Taylor. We need to have a conversation with ourselves about our colorism and the internalized white supremacy that Hollywood has indoctrinated us with. Right. So that was her response. That was her clapback. Now, just real quick, for those that are not familiar with the Arab invasion of Egypt, just real quick, during the time of Umar, the second caliph of the Arab armies under the leadership of Amir ibn al-As, invaded and conquered Egypt in 639 AD. Right. So we're dealing with the Arabic invasion. We're dealing with the Turks, because when you start understanding the Ottomans, I thought I had it in here, but anyway, you're dealing with Turks. Just a little sample here. This is coming from the outlines of ancient Egyptian history, and this is what they have to say about it. Right, 1892. How often do we see Eastern monarchies and even in European states a difference of origins between the ruling class to which the royal family belongs and the mass of the people? We need not leave Western Asia and Egypt. We find their Turks ruling over nations. Let me say that again. They say that they find their Turks ruling over nations to the race of which they do not belong. Although they have adopted their religion in the same way as the Turks of Baghdad, who are Fens, now reign over Semites. Turanian kings may have led into Egypt and governed a population of mixed origin where the Semitic element was prevalent. Okay. So it goes on to say here, it says the invasions which the country had to suffer, the repeat conflicts of which it was the theater, there is nothing extraordinary that the population coming up out of this land should have presented a variety of races and origins. All right. Journal of Cambrian Archaeological Association. Notice what it says here. Mr. Baldwin draws a marked distinction between the modern Mohammedan Semitic population of Arabia, modern, right? Notice what it says, modern, Mohammedan. Their Cushite, Hamite, or Ethiopian predecessor. The former, he says, are comparatively modern in Arabia, saying these are not the original people. They have appropriated the reputation of the old race. They have appropriated the reputation of the old race. Let me say that again. They have appropriated the reputation of the old race. Let me say it in slow motion. They appropriated the reputation of the old race. For the people in the back. and have unduly occupied the chief attention of modern scholars. So this right here is telling us that the modern people that you see there, the modern people that you see there, Turkish people that you see there, have taken, as you see here, appropriated the reputation of the old race. All right. So the Ottomans, in other words, the Turks invaded Africa in 1534 and remained a ruling power in Africa for 4 centuries and established 5 separate administrations in Algeria, Tanzania, not Tanzania, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, and Eritrea. Excuse me if I'm butchering this name. Eritrea. That's how you pronounce it. Eritrea. All right. Forgive me if I butchered the name. All right. So this here is just giving you some imagery, some images that they won't share with you when they deal with Nefertari, right? Moses Nefertari, right? Not that created bus that they were circulating on the Today Show a few years back, about 4 years ago, when they called themselves recreating it, right? This is the image that they won't show you, right? That she had locks, she had braids, right? This is Moses Nefertari, the 18th dynasty, but she's not the only one. Let me show you an image of her servant, her nurse, right? Her assistant, right? Dame Ray or Lady Rai or Ra'ai, right? So nursemaid to Queen Moses Nefertari, or here it is right here. These are two different images, and I wanted to make sure I didn't really. I don't like how, I don't agree with them going into the tombs and going into the people that is buried, and they're putting them on display the way that they are. For example, in the full image of this, they show the whole top of the women. I don't agree with that. That's why you don't see me showing the full image, because to me, even the scripture talks about not respecting and not honoring. It speaks against not honoring or being respectful to those that have been laid to rest, especially doing stuff like this. So I don't agree with the excavation of how they're going into these areas and putting on display people that they don't even belong to their culture. The British Museum have them all up in there. So again, that's why I made it a point not to show the whole image, just enough so you can see, as you see here, the braids here. Come on now, that's our people. This is our people, this woolly hair, and her assistant. So these are two different women. That's why I'm showing you here. These are two different. Look at the woolly hair here. This is her nursemaid. This is the nursemaid to Queen to Moses Nefertari. And as you see here, you can see the wool hair. All right. Can't get around this, family. Can't get around this. Okay. These are some wigs that's displayed at the for the 18th dynasty. That's at the British Museum. Just giving you some imagery of this. All right. Here's some additional ones right here. All right. Look at that. Come on, family. This, and they want to try to tell us that we are taking their heritage. Now, of course, I'm an Israelite, right? I'm blood descendant of Israel, the ancient Israelites. But guess what? If we sit back and allow them to change history, then they're going to continue to change history. This affects you and I, because Moses, we already know where Moses was raised at, among the Egyptians, looked just like an Egyptian, and Moses was not a Caucasian. When we look at Joseph, when we look at Apostle Paul being mistaken for an Egyptian, when we look at the Messiah, when he was a babe, Joseph and Miriam fleeing to Egypt. Come on, family. We can't get around that. But this is what they don't want to tell you and I. This is what they won't show you. All right. So again, for those that have joined us for the first time or joining us late, this is what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with our Netflix overview, well, not overview, just a review. I already told you what I think about the documentary, but I'm just going to give you some facts about the appearance of Cleopatra and some of the ancient Egyptians. All right. So Cleopatra, again, our next Netflix review. All right. So this person right here, right? This person right here has done a lot of, I would say, deceptive practices over in Egypt when it comes to whitewashing and manipulating history, right? This person right here, his name is Dr. Zahi Hawass, right? His response to the whole so-called selective outrage, right? Leading Egyptian archaeologist Dr. Zahi Hawass has released a statement online saying that Cleopatra was not black. Zahi Hawass is the chairman of the Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities and Undersecretary of State to the Ministry of Culture. He played a major role. If you guys study Cheek, oh man, I can't think of his name now. Diop, yeah, Cheek, Anna Diop, right? Brother man from West Africa. He came up. He and I can't remember the other scientists off the top of my head. I have the information here anyway. I think his name is Obinga. They came up with a test, right, to prove whether or not, or to determine whether or not melanin is in the skin. And they could tell you just from their test if it's a melanated person, a Negro, a black person, so to speak, right? And they proved it with accuracy, 100% accuracy. But these guys didn't want them to test any of the mummies or any of the discoveries that's over in Egypt, right? They made it a point to make sure that they could not test them. They denied it. I'm going to show you here. So this guy right here is the reason why you see a lot of the craziness that we see today. In this book right here, I gave you guys this, use this as a source. This is Black Genesis for those who want to know more about what I'm covering here, about the ancient Egyptians. Dr. Robert Bauval and Thomas Brophy. These guys did a great job of putting this book together. There's other books that they have, but Black Genesis is a great book, and they expose the agenda of Hawass and some of these other groups that are over there in Egypt, and makes it clear about the ancient Egyptians, and actually highlights Cheek and a Diop, right, inside this book here, right? And so this is just a little bit of it. I'm not going to go too deep with it, but it says here, Diop's silver bullet, however, was the proven scientific method that can determine skin color by the analysis of the melanin content in mummies from ancient Egyptians. And he insisted that, contrary to the words of Egyptologists, it is entirely possible to determine the melanin content of ancient mummies by microscopic analysis in the laboratory. Melanin, or more precisely, eumelanin, is a naturally produced polymer responsible for skin pigmentation. It is insoluble, and can be preserved for millions of years, such as in the skins of fossilized creatures. Diop claimed that it can be measured in the skin of Egyptian mummies, even though Egyptologists lament that the skin of mummies is tainted by embalming material and thus is no longer susceptible to such analysis. But guess what? Diop rejected this by showing that although the outer epidermis is where the melanin is usually found, melanocytes are particles deeper in the skin where they are not destroyed by the mummification process. So from samples of common Egyptian mummies from the Musée de l'Homme in Paris, Diop was able to show high melanin levels that are not found in white-skinned people. Diop wanted to apply the same analysis. Notice what it says here. He wanted to apply the same analysis to the royal mummies kept in Egypt, but the Egyptian authorities refused to give him that okay. That's what it's saying right here. But then it goes on to say here, Diop also reviewed the various statements made by ancient Greeks, and also Diop was also a linguistic. He was, he specialized especially in the hieroglyphs, right? But anyway, Diop also reviewed the various statements made by ancient Greeks and Romans who visited Egypt, as did Martin Bernal later in Black Athena. Diop asserts that if we accept what the ancient Greeks and Roman writers say, and frankly, there are no good reasons why we shouldn't, then we must conclude that the ancient Egyptians were black skinned. For these writers leave us no doubt that they saw Egyptians as dark or black men. Egyptologists, on the other hand, insist that we should not take seriously these ancient writers. A few Greek and Roman writers make it clear, writers make clear Diop's point. So let me play you here. This is a video that I did, a video clip here, and you have, and I just read off ancient writers giving proof that the ancient Egyptians were dark melanated people. Now let me play this real quick so that way you can hear, and you can write down some of these sources. Here we go. Herodotus, 450 BCE, who is considered the father of history, states that it is in fact manifest that the Colchidians are Egyptians by race. Several Egyptians told me that in their opinion, the Colchidians were descendants from the soldiers of Sesostris. I had conjectured as much myself from 2 pointers. Firstly, because they have black skin and kinky hair. Aristotle, 320 BCE, the great philosopher and father of scientific thinking, speaks rather derogatorily about the Egyptians, but nonetheless shows that he too regarded them as black skin. Those who are too black are cowards, like, for instance, the Egyptians and Ethiopians. But those who are excessively white are also cowards, as we can see from the example of women. The complexion of courage is between the two, in other words, brown or tanned. Aeschylus, 480 BCE, in his play The Suppliants, comment on an Egyptian ship. I can see the Egyptian crew with their black limbs and white tunics. Apollodorus, 70 BCE, affirms that Egyptos conquered the country of the black-footed ones and called it Egypt after himself. Greek writers, Lucian, 180 BCE, presents a dialogue between two Greeks, Lencinus and Timolas, discussing a young Egyptian boy. Lencinus, this boy is not merely black. He has thick lips and his legs are too thin. His hair worn in a plait behind shows that he is not a free man. All right. So family, you heard it with your own ears, right? You heard it with your own ears, given sources proving that other historians of that time. See, I'll give historians closer to that time more credence, more credibility than these so-called modern scholars who has agendas that's based upon the institution of race. So you heard with your own ears, you saw on the screen, historians bearing witness, whether they were Greek or Romans, bearing witness that the ancient Egyptians were dark, melanated people. All right. So, but let's go ahead and let me show you this here about what Josephus also says about the Greeks. Right. He bore witness. You guys remember this, how the Greeks were stealing and taking someone else's culture of countries that they conquered, and basically hijacking it as if it was something that came from them. This is what the historian Josephus lived in the first century AD, actually more or less, I want to say closer to like 30 AD or whatever. But anyway, after this, they were dispersed abroad on account of their languages and went out by colonies everywhere. And each colony took possession of that land which they light upon. And upon which God led them, so that the whole continent was filled with them, both the inland and the maritime countries. There were some also who passed over the sea in ships and inhabited the islands. And some of those nations do still retain the denominations which were given them by their first founders. But some have lost them also, and some have only admitted certain changes in them that they might be more intelligible to the inhabitants. And they were the Greeks. They were the Greeks who became the authors of such mutations, interpolations. For when in after ages they grew potent, they claimed to themselves the glory of the glory of antiquities, giving names to the nations that sounded well in Greek, that they might be better understood among themselves, and setting agreeable forms of government over them, as if they were a people derived from themselves. So Josephus makes it clear how the Romans, how the Greeks were hijacking other people cultures, right? So let me show you another source here. Now, this is where I want to get into the meat and potatoes, because some of the other stuff already highlighted, that's just giving you an overview, of what we already covered. But I want to take it a step further. I want to go deeper with Cleopatra. I want to show you what you may not have heard, right? I'm going to show you what you may not have heard about Cleopatra, right? And I'm going to show you something that may surprise some of you guys. This is Al Arabiya News. Cleopatra was part African, British documentary, right? This is the documentary. This is what you also saw. Some of the initial clips that I played, and I may show it again just so that way we can tie it all together here. But it says here, it has long been thought that Cleopatra roots were in Greece. Cleopatra may have been part African and not Greek Caucasian. According to a British TV documentary to be shown this month, its maker said Sunday, it has long been thought that the former queen of Egypt's roots were in Greece, but the discovery of what experts believe are her sister's remains have revealed that the siblings had a part African heritage. The BBC documentary Cleopatra, Portrait of a Killer, to be shown on March 23rd, shows the analysis of the discovery of human remains in a tomb in Ephesus, Turkey, right? Ephesus, which is known as Turkey today. Using state-of-the-art facial reconstruction and forensic techniques with anthropological and architectural analysis of the tomb, the experts are convinced that the skeleton is the remains of Cleopatra's sister, Princess Arsinoe, all right, who was murdered on Cleopatra's orders, all right? Archaeologists, I'm messing up these names here, all right? Archaeologist Dr. Hilke Thurer from the Austrian Academy of Science, who led the team, said the results of the forensic examination and the fact that the facial reconstruction shows that Arsinoe had an African mother is a real sensation, which leads to a new insight on Cleopatra's family and the relationships of the sisters. Notice what it says here. It goes on to say in Cleopatra and Arsinoe, it says documentary presenter and archaeologist Neil Oliver told the Telegraph that Cleopatra, in other words, Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, they are all iconic figures from history, but it's almost impossible to remember they were real people and not the semi-mythical figures portrayed by Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. So they going in on here. So let me show you a clip here for some of you guys that may not have seen the clips early on, but let me show you the clip here when they prove about Cleopatra's sister. Let me show the clip again.
Although the forensic team have only an incomplete skeleton, using our virtual template, we can now rebuild the skull. Hilke and Fabian thought the skull was lost forever, so I'm dying to see how they'll react.
I know you've been looking for the skull for a long time. And we don't have the real thing, but we've got the next best thing, which is a very exact replica.
Cool. Super.
And this is where it should be.
May we touch it?
Yeah,
Of course.
Of course. No, it's cool.
This is really cool. Yeah.
Brilliant. Perfect.
It's really like looking in her face.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is quite another thing to have the skull of her in your hands.
Yes.
This is a really enormous big feeling. Wow.
Well, it was worth bringing then.
Definitely home.
Yeah.
Yes. Super.
The forensic team are convinced they've proved beyond doubt that these are the bones of Princess Arsinoe. But rebuilding the skull has unlocked an incredible secret about her ancestry.
All right. So for most of you guys that may not know, that far as Cleopatra, they haven't recovered her body. Why? Because basically in a nutshell, it was she was buried supposedly with Mark Antony, but they don't know where it is. Could quite possibly been burned, just like how Romans would normally do their dead, right? They burn them. They what you call it? I can't think of the term now. I'm drawing a blank tonight. But far as the Egyptians and other melanated cultures, we bury, far as like the Israelites, we bury our ancestors. We don't cremate them. That's the word I was looking for. Cremate. The Romans, the Greeks, they cremate their people. So it's believed that they could quite possibly be cremated. All right. So the next best thing is having her sister. Her sister is who they used. So they proved that the sister, right, is not, as they teach, and how when I say they, these modern people want to say that she was Greek, she was Macedonian. In other words, saying that she was white. That's their way of saying that she was white. All right. So was Cleopatra part African? All right. Are there any writings that support her skin complexion? Right now, this is coming from the LA Times archives, arguing the race of the most fascinating figure in history. May 14th, 1989. Notice what it says here. Arguing the race of the most fascinating figure in history. It says, until the rise of the doctrine of white supremacy. Let me say that again. This is from the LA Times, right? LA Times. It says, until the rise of the doctrine of white supremacy, Cleopatra IV was generally pictured as colored. Let me say that again. I hope you guys grab hold of this. And matter of fact, let me drop this link inside the comment section so that way you guys can go back over and you can read up on these sources that I'm sharing. Let me go ahead and drop this in the comment section for you guys. Let me do it right now before I continue. All right, let me close this here. I'm going to drop this inside the comment section so that way you guys can review the links as well. All right, there's the link in the comment section, all right, for you guys that want to go back and review it. All right. All right, let's see here. All right. Here we go. All right. Let me get back over here. All right. So until the rise of the doctrine of white supremacy, Cleopatra VII was generally pictured as colored. I'm going to show you some proof here. Shakespeare and Anthony and Cleopatra calls her tawny. In his day, mulattoes were called tawny Moors. In Act 1, Scene 5, Cleopatra calls herself black. Think on me that am with Phoebus, armorous pinch black. Then it goes on to say C.W. King in Antique Gems and Rings, 1872 says, as late as the 16th century, Cleopatra was regarded as a Negro woman. What did it says? Up until the 16th century. Plutarch describes her as a brown-skinned girl with crinkly hair and voluptuous figure. Most anthropologists accepted the population that populations with extensive contacts interbreed, and they do not deny that some historians have claimed for their own races the achievements of prominent figures of other races, just like what Josephus just said. What I just read about Josephus saying how the Greeks, the Romans are hijacking other people cultures and heritage and history. It says here, and they do not deny that some historians have claimed for their own races the achievement of prominent figures of other races. The Greeks performed such a transformation on Aesop's, the black Ethiopian slave, and his fables. So they give you a source of how they whitewashed Aesop's, transformed him into a Caucasian. They do not deny that some historians have claimed for their own races, their own people, the achievements of prominent figures of other races. But Cleopatra's father, notice what it says here. Cleopatra's father, Ptolemy VII, shows pronounced Negro traits. As for Cleopatra VII, there is no bona fide portrait of her. Hollywood and Miss Taylor notwithstanding, right? So, but they're saying here, this is the LA Times back in 1998, saying even Cleopatra's father, Ptolemy VII, shows, right, pronounced Negro traits. Come on, family. How come they're not going after the LA Times about this? How come they're not going after the LA Times about this? But I'm going to take it a step further, family. I'm going to go to some of the sources that they listed here. Let's go to the Antique Gems and Rings, 1872. Let's see what they say about Cleopatra. As you see here, as late as the 16th century, Cleopatra was regarded as a Negro woman. Here's the source right here. Antique Gems and Rings, 1818 to 1888 by C.W. King. This is coming from page 326. You know how we do, family. We got to take it a step further. We can't just have them quote. I can't just show you articles and they quoting sources. I got to go to the sources and I have to vet the sources so that way I can present to you sound information. So let's see what they say inside this source. This is on page 326, right? It says here the same age was a little later, or excuse me, little later. I'm messing up tonight with my words. Extremely fruitful in heads of Negroes and also Negresses. The latter often in the character of Cleopatra. Let me read that again. Yeah, did y'all catch that again? Did you guys just catch that right here? Did you guys just catch that right here? Anyone that is teaching that Cleopatra is Greek or white or Caucasian, they are caught up in the white supremacy doctrine. All right. Up next, I see your comment here. Let me go back to this here so that way you understand what just happened, what I just read here. Let me show you again. Let's go back here. Cleopatra's father, Ptolemy VII, shows pronounced Negro traits. So they're saying that Ptolemy, Cleopatra's father, looked like a Negro. Showing that they said that he's showing traits. So again, let's go back here, right? The same age was a little later, extremely fruitful in heads of Negroes and also Negresses. The latter often in the character of Cleopatra, holding to her breast the asp. There is reason to believe that some of the latter are intended to commemorate the renowned black concubine of Clement VII. I just stopped right here. I could have gone further with this, but this is quoting what's back here. All right. But you see, let me go back here. Cleopatra is called a Negro or Negresses. Come on, family. Come on, family. Come on, family. Y'all know how we used to say back in the day, who want come test? Come on, family. Come on, family. Where is this guy right here? Because this guy right here, this comedian Nassim, this is what he's going to do. This is how he's going to respond. He'll respond just like this. Let me show you how his response will be to this, just like others. Once you knock down a lot of the foolishness that they're teaching about it, this is how this is kind of like their theme that they would default to try to just tell us that well, you know what, it doesn't matter. This is how they would hide. This is what they will hide behind.
Now, the problem for me, it's not about color. It's not about white and black. This is a very reductive way to talk about things. This is the way that...
All right, family. It looks like my thing is acting up here.
Now, the problem for me, it's not about color. It's not about white and black. This is a very reductive way to talk about things. This is the way that Americans talk about it. I'm very sorry. Like, I come from Egypt. Egypt has a very diverse color palette.
Yeah,
people can look like me or they can look deeper.
StreamYard is not letting me
like
use my clips, so I wouldn't be surprised if when my StreamYard and stuff start acting like this. Don't be surprised if I be put in lockdown. All right, it's playing for you guys. Yeah, see, on my end, it looks like it's playing for you guys, but I can't see that it's playing. So let me do something here. StreamYard is, this is when things start going haywire. That's why you see me keep playing clips, because I can't tell if the clip is playing or not. So let me open up another browser while this is going live right now, because I can't see it on my end. And this is what they start doing. When I say they, when you start dealing with these algorithms and you start touching on something, on things that they don't want you to touch on, you start seeing these type of things happen. And I don't have my phone in here with me, so I can't really see if it's, when it plays. So let me, I can't even bring up YouTube on my browsers now. All right. See, it played for you guys, but I can't see it on my end. So I'm going to let me close out a couple of things. Let me close out some of this stuff here. Let me close out some of this stuff. All right. All right, let me stop this here. I'm just closing out some stuff here, family. See if this will help out. All right, let's try this again. Let me kick this person out of here. All right, let's see here. All right, let me try it. Let me see if that helped. Let me I'm just closing some things down to see if that'll help. But it seems like when I do certain teachings, that's when StreamYard just go haywire. So let me do one more thing. I'm just trying to close out some things here real quick. All right. Adobe Fireworks. All right, let me close this out. All right, let's close this one out. All right. All right, let me see if it'll play now. I know some of you guys said it played briefly. Some of others you said it played, but I can't see anything from my end. So let me try it again. All right. Let me close this out right here. All right. Anything else I can close out? Yeah, I'm just trying to see whatever I could do to try to. All right, let me close one more thing out, see if this will help. All right, let me close one more thing. All right. All right, there we go. All right. All right. Let me see if this will play again. Let me play this clip by Nassim, and someone was trying to give him shout outs here. No, we're not doing that over here. Keep that stuff elsewhere. I'm not giving nobody shout outs. That's coming against our people and insulting our people. Don't sit up here and try to give someone shout outs. Regardless of if you're trying to defend the Bantus. And actually, if you want to study the Bantu languages, because Bantu is a pool of languages, and you'll find some of the Bantu languages have ties into Egypt. The Bantu languages is a language group that consists over 200 different languages. And guess what? It wasn't a Negro that came up with the term Bantu as far as languages. So, family, let's I have no tolerance for anyone that's trying to come up to justify someone's actions by, hey, you know what? He's right. The Bantus didn't have nothing to do with Egypt. You learn the history about the Bantu languages itself. And I can prove to you some of the Bantu languages, because when you say Bantu, doesn't mean that all the Bantus are Shemitic people. You got Bantus. But when you say Bantu, is simply a language group that was made and lumped into one big thing, just like how they did the word Shemitic and Hamitic. Those were initially language groups. Then when we start seeing the institution of race, that's when they started changing the meaning of these initial words. All right. Yeah, I already blocked them, Sister Carol. I kicked them out already. So, but anyway, let me go ahead and get back into it. Let me get back into it. All right. So let me see if this plays now. Let me see if this will play.
Now, the problem for me, it's not a very reductive way to talk about things. This is the way that Americans talk about it. I'm very sorry. Like, I come from Egypt. Egypt has a very diverse color palette. People can look like me, or they can look deeper skin tone like Anwar Sadat, who comes from a Nubian origin. It's not about black and white. It's not about black and white. It's not about black and white.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shemai was Egyptian. At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shemai was Egyptian. At the end, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. Shemai was Egyptian.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, family. See, that's what they want to say about our history. See, when they say color doesn't matter, what they're actually saying when they say color doesn't matter, that, hey, the Egyptians came in all shades. What they're saying is Egyptians come in all different races. That's what they really mean by that. Now, when we say that Negroes come in all different shades, we're not dealing with a race thing. But when you hear others say that, that's what they're actually saying. That's what they mean by it. All right. But let's not stop there. Let's not stop there. I got a couple more things I want to share with you guys. So this source right here makes it clear. It says the same age was a little later, extremely fruitful in heads of Negroes and also negresses, the latter often in the character of Cleopatra, holding to her breast the asp. All right. So let's go to this play, Anthony and Cleopatra by Shakespeare, or Antony or Antony and Cleopatra. This is Shakespeare actual play that he wrote. This is Shakespeare. This is Act 1, Scene 1. So this is what we're dealing with right here, right? It says, nay, but the dotage of our generals overflows the measure those his goodly eyes that o'er the files and musters of the war, having glowed like plated Mars, now bend, now turn, the office and devotion of their view upon a 20 front. Wait a minute. It says upon a 20 front, his captain's heart. Now, notice what it says here. Please see the bottom of this page for explanatory notes. Let me show you up here. It tells us to go to the bottom of the page so that way we can get an explanation on key items that are shared here. For example, tawny. Let's go down to the footnotes. Let's go to the explanatory notes that's here. All right, here we go. Notice what it says here. Tawny, front, dark countenance. Cleopatra was a Greek, but she is usually represented as darker skinned. Notice what you see here. Dark countenance. And family, you have to start peeling back because I started doing the research on the word tawny. I went to the etymological dictionary and it had yellow brown. You know, it didn't really go into the dark. I had to go back into some old dictionaries and I'm still going through it. I just shared one. I was able to put one inside here and you'll see that what that word is connected to, the Moors, so to speak, blackamoor, you know, in other words, dark skin. Not what you see there on the etymological dictionary online, the yellow, you know, they'll say yellow, orange, and all that other stuff. But let's go to the Webster Complete Dictionary of the English Language, 1886. This is what it says for tawny, right? It says this. Right, and that's why you got to go start pulling up some of the old sources. So when I saw it, I was like, man, get out of here with that etymology dictionary definition stuff. It'll just say yellowish brown, right? Color. But it was like yellowish, but it was like really you know, not giving the full details of showing what tawny is. So yellowish brown, that would still tie into someone being of a lighter hue, but it's still a yellowish brown. Still confirming, even if we go with the lady that played the character of Cleopatra in the movie. But notice what it says here, or persons who are sunburnt as a tawny Moor or Spaniard, right? Because remember when we went to the LA Times, let me go back here to the LA Times when they was giving us some information here on tawny. Notice what it says here. It says here, Shakespeare Antony and Cleopatra calls her tawny. In his day, mulattoes were called tawny Moors. Tawny Moors. So it wasn't what we would see yellow brown. No, we're talking about as we go here where it says in this definition here, sunburnt as a tawny Moor. Sunburnt as a tawny Moor. Come on, family. This is dealing with somebody that is dark skinned. Not this a dull yellowish brown, but we go in here. It says persons who are sunburnt as a tawny Moor or Spaniard. All right. So let me make sure. Let me add a little animation here so that way you guys can see what it says in the backdrop, because I don't want anyone think that I manipulated or modified the actual source. So let me show you here in the back where we're reading from. This is it here. As you see here, of a dull yellowish brown, like things tanned, or persons who are sunburned, as a tawny Moor or Spaniard. But if we go with the yellowish brown, let's just say if we go with the yellowish brown, there's a yellowish brown right there. If we go back to the beginning, there's a yellowish brown right there. That's what they don't want us to talk about. They don't want us to talk about the yellowish brown, right? That's what they're making getting upset about. But Shakespeare used tawny, and he's referring to Moorish, Spaniard. In other words, being sunburnt. Y'all know, come on, Negroes. We out in that sun. We already dark, most of us. You gonna get darker. Come on, family. And for those that don't, that's asking about the dictionary, let me put the dictionary out here. Well, someone asked about the coins. I don't get caught up in the coins because you have Greeks created those coins, but then you have Egyptians have statues that don't look anything like the coins. So a coin doesn't show skin complexion, right? You know, I got relatives that have big noses, right? That sticks out, but they dark just like me, or they much lighter than me, depending on which one of that we point to. So just because you have a coin doesn't show skin complexion. Let me say that again. A coin does not show skin complexion. So if you're showing those Greek coins doesn't say anything. See, this is where we have to be careful when we look at somebody's feature and say, hey, you know what? That's white features right there. No, we got all kinds of shapes to our noses. That's why I want to make sure we understand. I understand the question, but no, coins doesn't mean anything. Even like I said, there is statues in Egypt of, statues that's supposed to depict her, I mean, still the same. But my point that I'm making, regardless whether it's Egyptian created coins or not, I'm not getting into all of that, but show me the color of the coins. You can't see a skin complexion through a silver coin. And that's the point that I'm making. Whether it's the Greeks did it, whether it's the Egyptians did it, show me skin complexion on a coin. And that's why I want to make sure that we do it. We use proper deductive reasoning with this. Because now we're saying that if we just look at a coin and we see someone with, like how the many of our brothers and sisters, like the Movambas over in West Africa, they was described as having aquiline noses. That's what they described Cleopatra as having an aquiline nose, saying it looks like a white person, but they dark like you and I. So my point that I'm making here, just because you say show a coin doesn't mean anything. So you can have multiple coins, and I saw multiple coins, and not all the coins look the same. But even then, the coin doesn't show a skin complexion. There's a difference when we deal with features versus skin complexion. All right. So, matter of fact, I don't like to just say something without showing proof here, because this is where we have to get out of this thing, because that's what many of the those that try to use the talking points. Hey, let's look at the coins. Coins doesn't show skin complexion. Come on, Negroes. We all don't have, all of us don't have wide noses or flat noses. Some of us have pointy noses. Not every one of us have full lips. Not every one of us have, for me, I have sleepy eyes. Man, anyway, that's what I'm saying. You cannot just go off a coin and say, all right, let's look at the features. Whether you want to say it's an Egyptian coin or whatever, when I looked at those coins, whether it's Egyptian, Macedonian, whatever, on those coins, it doesn't show skin complexion. All right. Let me show you one more thing here, being that I brought it up. Let me see here. What I was going to do here. All right, let's see here. I want to show you something real quick. Since I mentioned it, let me show one thing here. Since I mentioned it about aquiline nose, see, this is where we have to understand these words, understand these features. Just because, and you're looking on a coin, right? A coin, a stamped coin. Number one, a stamped coin is not going to show skin complexion. Let me see here. Let me go to this one thing here, and I'm going to copy this over. I want to show you something about the Mavumbas, since I mentioned it. Where is it? Where is it? All right, man. All right, here we go. You guys probably going to remember this source. All right. All right, let me show it here. Man. All right, let me show you. Let me show this source here. Let me paste it over here. And I'm going to drop the link for anyone want to jump in real quick. Let's stay on subject. All right, let me show you this here. All right, let's go to here. All right, let's go here. This is Africa and its inhabitants, right? This is one group of Hebrews that's there, the Saracos. This is, let me see here where I want to go to. All right, here we go. The Mavumbas. It says here, a part of the local trade is in the hands of the Mavumbas, a people of grave and solemn aspect with intelligent eyes, straight or even aquiline nose, whose pronounced Semitic type has earned for them the Portuguese designation of Judeos Praeton, in other words, Black Jews. All right. So notice how they describe them with intelligent eyes. So because the stereotype about our people is that we have beady eyes, right? Tight, small, beady eyes. So when it says intelligent eyes, they're saying that their eyes look like white people eyes. When they say straight or even aquiline nose, saying that their nose are shaped like theirs. All right. So that's why I want to share with you this source here. As you see, saying that the nose is aquiline, straight or even aquiline. It's not flat, it's sticking out. So this is why I want to make sure you guys understand, just because you hear these, when people want to defer to, like, and I'm not trying to go at this person here. I saw it in the comments and I saw coins. No, when you look at these coins, guess what? Coins doesn't tell you skin complexion. Coins doesn't give you texture of hair. Coins not going to show you these things here. You can't get that in a coin. Right? We see coins of George Washington. Only reason why we know he's a Caucasian is because we know the history of George Washington. But a coin is not going to show you skin complexion. A coin is not going to show you that he had wood teeth, or not wood teeth, but teeth of our people inside his mouth. But anyway, my point that I'm making is you cannot look at a coin and extract out of that coin and say, hey, this is how Cleopatra looked. Because again, there's no pictures. And if there are, which I haven't seen any pictures. If they are, I can guarantee you they painted over it, but I haven't seen any pictures. There's no pictures as of Cleopatra. What you see is what was manufactured, what was created. Because I saw a picture, they tried to make her look like she was some Caucasian lady in the 15th century, like she was a Quaker. All right, but let me go and drop this in real quick. I did say I was going to drop the link. And again, my assessment on the movie, on the documentary, I encourage you guys to watch it. That's my assessment. All right. But as you can see here, family, just because you see, and I want to reiterate it, just because you see someone that made, like, for example, like the person made reference to a coin. All right. Just because you see a coin, don't play to this fact of thinking that we don't have certain features among our community. Which is completely wrong. All right. And that's pretty much what they're playing on with the whole Cleopatra thing. Look, we got our hair texture come in all kinds of flavors, whether it's curly, whether it's straight. Look, my great grandmother, right? And I'll say this to you: whoever posted Cleopatra from that mural is not from the antiquities. That's why I just showed a source saying that there's no pictures of Cleopatra. There's not a single picture of Cleopatra. That is not a picture that comes from the time of Cleopatra. And if you want, I can show the source again. All right. You there, Sister Carol?
Hey, bro. Shalom.
This person is right here. Yeah, because it's somebody all kinds of stuff about coins and murals, and I just showed a source, and they just said that there's no pictures about Cleopatra from during her time.
Coins only show features. They don't show you skin complexion. They only show you features of what a person looks like, or based upon the carving of that person who created it. So can't go by
Exactly. But go ahead, sis. You got the floor. Let me do something while you have the floor.
Yeah, I didn't know. I went to check Netflix. I guess around 1 or 2, and it still hadn't shown drop yet. So I just clicked it to go in my my list on Netflix so I can come back and watch it. And I hadn't gone back to see it had dropped yet. So it must have dropped after I left out of there. So I'll have to
Look,
check
you
that out.
you gotta take that black and white television off that broke down floor model television that we all had. Remember that wooden one? The color one that was broken. You had a color TV that was broke, but you had the tiny black and white one with the pliers and the hanger at the top of it.
Now, I didn't know
Anyway.
you even had a TV, Pastor. So
every house had the black and white. So, but hold on one second, sis. Hey, Cyrus, I see you here. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing all right.
All right. Anything you want to add? You at work? Okay.
Yes,
how you doing,
indeed. my brother? I'm doing all right. So I wanted to mention that I see you mentioned Josephus a lot, and that's great. He's a great historian. But in his first against Apion, and Apion is like an Egyptian that had a lot of rhetoric against the Hebrews. It's good to get into his writings on him. And he mentions the last Cleopatra, and in Josephus's Antiquities of the Jews, book 12, chapter 4, he mentions that Cleopatra was the daughter of Antiochus, and he gave her to Ptolemy to have a bond with him. That's in Antiquities of the Jews, book 12, chapter 4. So you can see from the time period, it had to be more than one. And that's all I wanted to mention.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There definitely more than one Cleopatra. That's a fact. And I appreciate you for bringing that out, because most people don't know that. They think that it was just one Cleopatra. So I definitely appreciate you bringing that out. And two, one of the things that I believe many people get caught up in is we're looking at how things are today and how we live versus how during those times, or how many of these uh, royal families, how they conduct an internal business, to preserve their royal seed, so to speak, their royal bloodline. They had a lot of crazy stuff going on that today, by today's standards, would be crazy, but during that time, it wasn't unheard of. It was pretty much, when you research most royal families, you'll find that they had all kinds of stuff going on in there internally.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. I mean, I just don't have a lot of information as far as into that, but just like he mentions that the last Cleopatra and what he said about her in his first against Apion, I think, you will find very interesting. Um, she was not a friend, but that's what they're making their Netflix about. So that's the topic, and it's a good topic, and plus Alexandria, where they dwelt, was filled with Grecians and Macedonians. It was built by Alexander. All this is in his works. And he's a good addition to talking about her, even though he mentions her just a little, on his whole body of work, but he does mention her.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I definitely appreciate it, and that's why I just wanted to show some of the sources that I had. I didn't have time to really put more into it. That's why I'm gonna do a part two, but I just at least want to show what others are saying about her, not just what we're hearing by the mainstream, because you already know, just about any ancient culture that they deem to be civilized or have an established community, or civilization, so to speak, they want to, when I say they, other cultures like Caucasians want to hijack it. They want to take it as if it's theirs. They want to make it separate from the surrounding people that is there. Like with Egypt, they want to say that, hey, Egypt is in Africa, but these are a different type of people, a different type of dark melanated people. They are, as one of the sources I shared last week, they want to say that they're Caucasians. You know what I mean? And it's a whole nother group of craziness that come with the territory of how they try to mesh the Ethiopians, the Greeks, not the Greeks, the Egyptians, the Libyans, and how they want to, selectively handpick certain ones and then pull them over and say, hey, these people were originally white people that became black.
Yeah, talking about antiquities in these days, that's why, the libraries in Alexandria were destroyed, a lot of things were destroyed. So, it's definitely a war against knowledge, so it's always into arguments and combats these days just because, people wish to conceal things like that so that they can act like they don't know. A lot of Egyptians were killed, taken captive, and now they're sitting around speculating, how did they look? We don't know. They think this and think that. That's madness, definitely, but I was going to say something, and I have a lot of things running through my mind right now.
Well, hey, I appreciate you just jumping on here. I really, really appreciate it, for you jumping on here. I really appreciate
I'm
it.
sorry, one more thing. It's a letter in early Christian writings you can easily Google. One is called Titania's Address to the Greeks. That first chapter alone kills everything that they're doing today.
I have to go back over it because I have that source. I have that. I got to go back. I haven't read it in a while, but I'll go back over. You said the first chapter?
Just the first chapter. I mean, it's a very interesting work, but just the first chapter alone shows you their disposition and a lot of stuff that you mentioned on your last video about taking people antiquities. Titania's Address to the Greeks in early Christian writings. It's on that same topic of them doing that and having that disposition. That's what I was going to mention.
Okay. Well, hey, I appreciate it for dropping that on me. I'm gonna go back over it because I haven't touched it in a while, but I'm gonna go back over it and I'm gonna read that first chapter, and we'll bring that out next time we do it live, because this is stuff we need to know, and need to understand that, there's always been an assertive effort to, hijack or take or reappropriate appropriate heritage or culture of a different community and absorb it into another. And the Greeks were known to doing that. The Romans and the Greeks, they were known to doing that. They conquered someone, absorb them in their history, and then relabel it as if it was always theirs.
Yeah. They've been doing that for some time. But your peace, I'm gonna get back to work. Hope to talk to you again.
Hey, anytime you see me live, jump on, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, love you, my brother. Have a good one.
Love you too.
Jay High Style and Sister Carol, you guys got the floor. Go for it.
Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessing, Pastor. How you doing?
I'm
It's
doing
been a
great.
minute.
I thought you was about to go rock him. It's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you.
No, last weekend I know you were doing your live and everything, but I was celebrating my anniversary this time. I know you celebrated you and your wife's anniversary just recently. The last weekend was me and my wife's anniversary, so I was celebrating that. But it's good. It's always good to see you. It's always good to be on your live. You know, all the stuff that's going on right now is pretty much the further deception of our enemies who look to hide our true identity. And the way they do that is not through just hiding our identity, but others' identity as well, the Hamitic identity as well. Because honestly, if everyone knows who the Egyptians really look like, and it won't point to those 1948 people. It would point to us instead. So there's a big agenda to continue to hide our identity through hiding other identities. It's a really, how you say it, it's a real crafty console that they're constructing and continue to construct, even though the truth is coming to bear. And you know, with that said, they need to just give it up because they're in a losing battle right now because of all the truth that's coming out.
Absolutely. And I think what we have to be careful, like many of our brothers and sisters that's in this awakening can make the mistake of is saying like, okay, we're not Africans or we don't look African. There's a lot of stuff that's out there that's kind of, kind of
Right.
like perpetuating some of the hatred that is out there, especially when we're dealing with other communities within the continent of Africa. So many won't even say, as you probably noticed, not many are really talking about the Egyptians. This whole situation. I think I'm one of the very few within this awakening that's even talking and having discussions about this. But
Mhm.
as you already know, if we can see this, they're going to continue to go into other areas.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's like a whole web of lies, and in order to further be deceitful, they got to continue to present other lies as well, and after a while, they just got to give it up because it's becoming a lost cause for them.
Yeah, yeah. And and again, we just have to continue to do what we're doing is,
Right.
keep talking about it. Once we start having these type of discussions, then we literally give them what they want. We literally give them what they want. And I believe that we just have to keep talking about it.
Hmm. And it's like the mass media, they don't even put that much emphasis on what's going on right now with this whole Netflix thing either. And again, that it's a good reason for that because the more notoriety that is out there about this, the more people are going to do research and find out the truth. So not even mass media is keeping this up.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I totally agree. I totally agree. Sister Kara, anything you wanted to jump in with?
Someone asked a question in chat about what Japhet looked like and what his people look like. They look like us. Um, the Europeans were black. They were Negro before it was invaded by Caucasians. You have black Russians, you had black Irish people, you had black Germans, um, British, all of that. All that whole nation was dark. They would call the Dark Ages. And even our cousins, the Moors, went over there and lived in that land. So when you ask the question, they look like us. And as a matter of fact, speaking of Netflix, I don't know if anybody's watched it yet, but if you go watch Queen Charlotte, the story of her, the Bridgerton series they've been having, they did her story when she was married to King George III. And she was German. She was a Black German. And it's a real life story. And we don't want to dive into the Dark Ages because that, again, raises the flag that we were royalty. The Blackamoors. We ruled that whole entire region until it was taken over and whited out.
And real quick,
wiped it all out.
and to your point, real quick, because and I think when going back to that question, and I'll just show a source here, family. We can't cover everything tonight, but I'm gonna do as much as I can to answer that question. But I'm gonna show another source that's in one of my videos. I'll give you a little bit here, but let me just read something real quick from. I just cut and pasted into this presentation. So let me fast forward here. But first, let me go back to here about what I said about the image of Cleopatra. It says Cleopatra's father, Ptolemy VII, shows pronounced Negro traits. As for Cleopatra VII, there is no bona fide portrait of her. All right, so let me fast forward here. All right, let me go to answer that question that you said that was asked. This is coming from the Daily Mail. It says here, Europeans were dark skinned until 8,000 years ago. Pale complexions were brought to Europe from the Near East, studies claim. Right? And I'm just going to read a little bit here. It says, now genetic research has revealed that ancient European populations were dark skinned for far longer than had originally been thought. Then here's another source, the BBC. It says here some of the earliest arrivals on the continent contributed little to later populations between 37,000 to 14,000 years ago. Different groups of Europeans were descended from a single founder population. And it goes on to say here, only after 14,000 years ago. Hold on, I'm getting a little feedback here. I'm going to have to mute you real quick, Sister Carol. I'm getting a little feedback from you. All right. But it says here, only after 14,000 years ago did blue eyes begin to spread and pale skin appeared across much of the continent after 7,000 years ago, born by early farmers from the Near East. Right. But it goes on to say early European populations possessed more Neanderthaler ancestry than present day people. Right. Consistent with the idea that much of the DNA we inherited from the Neanderthals had harmful effects. But this is dealing with Caucasians right here, the Europeans. The Agranatians, this is who they deal with. A 35,000-year-old male from Goyet, Belgium, belonged to a distinctive branch of the Ice Age population. But then when you go to prehistoric man and his history by, let me go back here, by Professor G.F. Scott Elliott, this is what he says about that real quick. The Agranatians founded the Mousterians or Neanderthal in France during all the changes sketched above. The former seem to have held their own in that country. After the Worm Ice Age, the Agranatians modified their weapons and mode of life. And after the theory which we have adopted became the men of La Madeleine, these Agranatians and their Magdalenian descendants pervaded all Central and Southern Europe. Their remains also have been discovered in Valletta and Phoenicia and elsewhere, as we will try to show later. But during this long period of time, two other races also succeeded in entering France, Italy. These were a Negroid, perhaps pygmy folks and men of the men of Solutre. All right. And it goes on to say, we have seen that the Agranatians was originally an African. So I'm going to stop right there. So I just wanted to give a quick source for that question. For those that have that question, where did Caucasians come from? What about Noah's sons? All of them were initially dark melanated people. There you have it, Sister Carol. You got the floor. You and Brother Jay.
I was going to say, if they wanted to really get some more visual history on that information you just went over, Thoughts Camera Action did a deep dive into the European nations of that time, and he
They took his
showed
videos down.
No, he's back up. He's fully back up with his videos.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, go look on his channel for all the royals of that time period, and you will see what they look like. He has all that information over there for history.
Yeah, but the keto says they're still all of them come from the continent of Africa. That's just the point that I want to make with that to this right here. Just to answer that question, is Japheth was originally a dark melanated person, and of course we know when you start dispersing and going to different climate and all that other stuff, other things kicked in. And I think Jay Highstyle, that's another area you into, Jay Highstyle, as far as your background. So if you want to shed some light on that as well, that'd be great.
Not to mention albinism, the mutation of the melanin gene to the point where it's no longer active in an individual. And we know that when a person is lacking melanin, they basically per se white skinned. So I'm thinking that it's more along that line of where you see most of your Caucasian race coming from. We were the original people, and like you're saying, Pastor, from the three sons of Noah, they were all melanated. So yeah, that's most likely what I'm thinking transpired. Now there has been some theory about the Neanderthal, but I believe that was before the flood. So if Noah and his three sons were the only ones that were upon the face of the earth, I would lean more towards the theory of a mutated melanin gene to the point where the Caucasians, they don't have that. So, of course, they're not going to express that particular phenotype. And that's my thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, we're dealing with, like you pointed out, we're dealing with mutations. There was a mutation that occurred. And albinism, that is a mutation, and it can be passed down, albinism. So but yeah, definitely appreciate it. We have Malayu, excuse me if I mess up, if I butcher your name, my apologies.
That's okay, Pastor Kelly. It's Michelle. I just use that's my handle. This seems like a relative, maybe since the first of all, hello everyone. Hello. It seems like it's been forever since we've gotten a really good study, and I kind of miss everyone a little bit. So it's good to be back on and to actually hear and see everyone again. This seems like a fairly recent phenomenon, I guess, maybe with the emergence of social media and the internet. I grew up even though my foundational home is Virginia, I grew up in California. And my parents, of course, we would go to Oakland. We were about an hour from Oakland. And I don't know what you know about Oakland, but it has a very rich community in terms of even like the Black culture, right? And you had the 5%ers. You had you did have the Hebrew community, and I guess without going through down the list and the line, you really did have more of a conscious community even back then. So you did get a lot of exposure to our history and really just the blanket committed statement that we were everywhere. We were conquered everywhere. But just as another resource, I know when I was in school 100 years ago, one of the books that was important for us. We study this in humanities, and it's a good starting point for people. I don't know if you're homeschooling or whatever, but it was they came before, or we came before Columbus. I need to get my. I think I
Yeah,
still
they
may
came
have it on
before
my wall.
Columbus.
Yeah, they came before Columbus, and
Yeah, I
that
had that
was
book.
it's a pivotal. It was a pivotal book for me at that age. It just helped me to really be grounded, and the reason that I like it is because I think it's a good book for young people to start to push forward in knowing just that broad history, the rich history of our people. You know, I think we get so caught up in, you know, these ideas. Of course, we know who we are, but in terms of the Black family as a whole, not understanding that it can all be true. It is all true, right? We were everywhere, even though we don't all identify as Hebrew. We're not all Hebrew, but you know, it can still be all true. It all ties in together, and you know, I think that's just a good place to start for people if they have any interest in wanting to, if any homeschoolers or anyone that has interest in really sort of diving into that history. That was a really good place for me to start when I was younger.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because yeah, like I said, I have that book.
Yeah.
And there's some great information in it. It even talks about some of the people here, Native Americans, being
Mm-hmm.
Hebrews. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a good book. Definitely a good
Yeah, it
read.
is. Yeah.
Any other comments you want to have as I
No, I'm
let
glad
Sister Carol
you
J.
came back around to this. I don't know if we're doing the trash can tonight, but I would like to actually put Piers Morgan in the trash can, because I don't know if anyone else remembers, you know, and I think you used a clip from that BBC article, which he is actually either was or is employed by the BBC. So he should have had that frame of reference, knowing that there wasn't that African ancestry. They were the ones that actually created that documentary. So, you know, you're just going to get more of these blatant lies and this effort to hide history of our people. But it really does seem like it's ramping up.
Yeah, it definitely is. And Piers Morgan, he's a liar.
Yeah.
He was very deceptive. He brought a comedian on there. He could have easily brought a panelist of Egyptologists and
Right.
discussed it, but he brought a panel. He brought someone that is a comedian, and then the other person I think was from the LGBTQ
Right.
community, and you know, trying to defend. You know, why didn't he just bring a true group of panelists, far as Egyptologists and all of that, onto there to have a true
Mm-hmm.
discussion about it? So it was very deceptive. He just did that just to help push the narrative and push, kind of stir up the masses.
Right. Stir the pot.
And that's all he did. He stirred it up, and there's tons of videos of people giving assessments. And the movie just came out. Documentary just was just released today.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Well, I haven't watched it yet. I look forward to it. I was just gonna kind of wait till I had some time, but yeah, I think we're just gonna continue to have these battles. But I want to thank you all for excellent commentary as always, and for the lesson tonight.
all right, appreciate it. Thanks for jumping on, and we'll give Piers Morgan the garbage can.
Yeah. Have a good night, folks.
Right, same to you. All right, Sister Carol and Jay Highstyle, you guys got the floor again. Any other things you guys want to point out?
Are we giving the garbage can right now?
Oh, if you want, we could go
Because
ahead and
I
bring
got
it down.
one. Who was the name of that doctor, that Egyptologist you were talking about earlier? What was his name?
The one that was on Piers Morgan.
No, this was a researcher who was blatantly saying that Egyptians are Caucasians.
Oh, Hawaii's. Howie
Yeah.
Hawaii. Yeah.
He definitely needs the garbage can for real.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I just can't get over the lies. I mean, really, enough is enough, and the whole thing is, the Gentiles, Caucasians, whoever you want to call them, their time is up and they know it. And they're looking at this and they're saying, uh-oh, we got to do something now to continue our lie. And it's just, it really just is not working at all. And like I said, they should just give it up already.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. In the documentary, I watched the entire documentary. And I was like, okay, I was, how you critiquing and everything. I had my critiques. I was like, let's see how it's put together. It's well put together. It's
Right.
well put together. And like I said, if it wasn't, whether it's a sister that's playing it or if they had a white person playing it, it was well put together.
Mhm.
And now again, I'm sounding like what's that meatballs? I'm sounding like these guys here.
It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
Look,
Lane,
even when you
Sister
look at the skull patterns, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Pastor, but I believe Benaiah even said this, that the skulls were actually dociophalic. And I don't know if that stretches across both Shem and Ham. But, with that alone, Caucasians don't have dociophalic skulls.
Yeah.
So with that alone, that's another proof that no, it wasn't, the Egyptians weren't Caucasian. They were actually black,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they don't want to go there because again, then you have people in Africa that has a very well sophisticated culture well before theirs. And they don't
Right.
like that.
It's a sad
That's what's going on.
situation when they got to hijack another people's culture and everything. But I guess that was their whole agenda that really spearheaded hiding true Israel's identity. Like I was saying earlier, that they had
Yeah.
to do that in order to hide true Israel. So,
Yeah.
it's like a tangled web of lies that they're now in, and they can't get out of it.
Yeah. And the key is once you concede, let's just say, and that's why our brothers have to be careful when they start saying, "Oh, well, you know what? We don't care about the Egyptians. We don't care about Cleopatra. We don't care about this. We don't care about that." Once
Gaslighting.
like Eddie Murphy said, you give he ain't gonna say what he said, but he said you give a brother man a rope, he'll take a yard. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if you remember that in this stand up. He's like,
Mhm.
give a nigger. They want to take take a yard. Give them a what he said. What he said? Yeah, give them an inch. They want to
Take
take
a
a
mile.
yard. Yeah, something like that. Give them
Yeah.
a rope. They want to be a cowboy. So,
Yeah.
all right, Sister Carol, what else you got?
Put your people in the trash can.
Huh?
All the Negroes that's calling Cleopatra white. I'm hearing more your people calling her white than the white people calling her white. The white people are
I
calling
don't
her
know.
black.
I'm hearing
The
both
Negroes
sides.
are
I'm hearing
calling
just
her.
as much because it's so many out there. If you just Google,
No, I hear
you
black
go on
folks saying
YouTube, you see so many. I'm saying from what I came in contact with, so most of the on large platforms all joining in. Yeah, there's some brothers and sisters there, but primarily the ones
a
I've
bunch of
seen
them.
has been Caucasians.
So, Sister Carol, you're talking about your hop and bobs.
No, I'm talking about you Negroes.
Yeah, Sister Carol, what's going on with you tonight, Sister Carol? What's going on? You all right?
I don't like your people. I'm gonna find me
Well,
another race.
you all right, Sister Carol?
No, I'm not.
You sound grumpy right now. What's up? You all right, Sister Carol?
Nope.
Huh?
Hey, she started off
Nope.
trying to blame me, Pastor, earlier
Sure did.
for the little snafu you were having in July. She was trying to blame me again.
But your clips wouldn't work. I
She
should
wants to
have
throw me under the bus.
You know, Sister Carol sound a little grumpy tonight. It's like, what's going on,
Yeah.
Sister Carol? Everything all right?
This is my normal personality.
No, Sister Carol, you don't sound like that
I'm gonna give
normally
you
on
the
here.
nice. I'm gonna give you the
Right,
fake
Brother
personality,
Jay.
real personality.
Right.
She don't normally sound like that on here. She sound irritated and everything, man.
I'm sick of your people.
No, don't say sick of my people. They're sick of your people, whoever you came in
I don't
contact
claim
with.
them. I
You
don't
know, I
claim
mean,
them no more.
no, you gotta come down, Sister Carol. You gotta come down, Sister Carol. You gotta come down, Sister Carol.
I'm just speaking
You
facts.
gotta come
Tell
down.
them
You gotta come
something.
down. Sister Carol,
Okay,
Sister Carol, you know what? You know what?
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't
Sister
Just
Carol, it
doesn't
doesn't
matter.
matter. Just let it go. You know, just let it go. We had a great lesson tonight. Just let it go. Just let it go. All right. All right, Sister Carol. So, who you want to throw in the garbage can, Sister Carol, outside of throwing our brothers and sisters in there?
She there. Sister Carol.
Oh man, I bet I wish I had my other ones here. Some of my other animations here. Where is it? Where is it? I thought I had it here. Nope, I didn't upload the new one here. Oh well. All right. All right. Jay High Style, any last things you want to share with the people before we wrap up
Yeah,
here?
we just gotta continue to keep our eyes open, stay vigilant, because they're trying to throw some things at us to lull us back to sleep, and it's just not working for those of us that are really awake. And like you said earlier, we just have to continue to spread the word, and get the truth out there. That's going to help combat their agenda, their continued agenda. And that's pretty much it. They definitely want to keep it going because they know their end is near. And so, we're just going to have to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're gonna get a garbage can to that entire agenda, going to give
Right.
them all the garbage can, because again, this is where we as a people have to, just get more educated and stop regurgitating stuff that we hear people saying, instead of just taking the time out just to do what we're doing, just fact check this stuff. I mean, again, who would ever thought, even just a year ago, that we would hear what we're hearing today, with the so-called controversy with Kevin Hart, and this movie here with Cleopatra, this docu-series.
Yeah. The more we discuss, the more we bring out the truth, the more we denounce what's going on right now. I mean, that's the bottom line, and those that are in those positions, such as Kevin Hart, they're, even though they're giving little tidbits here and there of the truth, they're really scared themselves because they don't want to mess up their lifestyle, But again, the truth has to get out there, and it will. It will. We
Yeah.
just got to stay focused and stay diligent, and continue to do that. Put in that work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Appreciate your family for jumping on here on J High Style. Appreciate you, Sister Carol, for jumping
Bless
on.
you.
Sister Carol, you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
You know what, Sister Carol? You know what? I'm gonna have you gonna make me pull this out on you.
I don't care.
Where is it?
Pull it out. Pull everything out. I'm 60 and I don't care. Pull it out. Pull it out.
Who is this person who speaks to me as though I needed his advice?
I have declared Philip my High Counselor.
Is he qualified?
I am skilled in the arts of war and military tactics, sire.
Are you? And tell me, what advice would you offer on the present situation?
All right, so Sister Carol, who you giving the garbage can?
I don't have anybody. I already
All
told
right,
you
Sister
I
Carol,
want your piece.
I'm gonna give you the garbage can since you don't have anybody.
Okay, that's good.
This, in the words of Moses, as he encouraged Israel in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 to 14, with the Egyptians coming at them unexpectedly, the Most High gave him these encouraging words to give to the people. It said, "Fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh." These Egyptians that you see here today, you don't ever have to deal with them ever again. They will not have any power over you. The Most High will fight for you, but the kicker is you have to hold your peace. In other words, you have to be quiet. We have to be quiet. We have to understand the importance of calculated silence. Can't go back, can't stay here, keep moving forward.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According